Aryan, welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Exciting times, my friend. Listeners, the viewers that tune into this interview, they can see you as Grover and Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Man, first of all, like, how's your life been the last 2, 3 weeks now with all this?
It's been pretty crazy. It's been good. I'm just glad that people seem to like the show. We put a lot of effort into it, so to have a reception that, I mean, overwhelming is just incredible.
Mm. Well, it's been great too because Disney dropped it like a day earlier, and everybody tuned in right away
Yeah.
to watch. Everybody tuned in right away to watch this. The reviews have been great. I have not seen one bad review. I don't know about you. I haven't.
Yeah, I was a little skeptical because, everyone was like, oh, 20th, 20th, and they had like episode drops like ready and everything. And when I was told that they were going to drop it like a day earlier, I was like, is anyone gonna like know? Is anyone gonna watch it? And like everybody tuned in, and it was, I mean, that's just a miracle. I think that's incredible.
We're gonna jump more to the show in a few minutes too. And I was doing some research on you also. First of all, like I love it. Like you've done everything: TV, voiceover, film,
Yeah.
Broadway, commercials. What's left on that bucket list, my friend? What do you want to accomplish next?
Um, I think, I mean, all that's left is to do a movie that like comes out in theaters. Um, and yeah, that's about it. And then, obviously win four, five, six Oscars. And then I think I'm good. Yeah.
What's like your ultimate role that you want to hit someday?
My ultimate role. Um, I say this all the time, but when they inevitably make the live action adaptation of Across the Spider-Verse, I'm gonna be there for Spider-Man India. Everything I do is to get like prepared to play Spider-Man India one day.
Yeah. There's been talks about that, so you never know.
Yeah, there has. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Um, with acting and everything, like you're a young person, and everything. Like, what made you like pursue this dream of yours that you're living right now?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. I think with most actors, it's a lot of luck. For me, it was a very cliche kind of start. I got scouted in a mall, and originally my parents weren't gonna do anything about it. Because when some random person approaches your child in a mall and goes, "Hey, your kid is cute, bring him to this place," you don't really listen to them. But my dad, he actually grew up with really bad stage fright, and we were talking about this in the car the other day. The reason he got me into acting is because he didn't want me to grow up with, that intensive stage fright, and so
Mm,
he put me in some classes, and because of that, I found what I love.
mm. What's been like your family's reaction to all this seeing you and all this stuff now?
It's been cool. Actually, the person who sent me the open call and who got me into Percy Jackson, he's basically family. He's a very close family friend. I was fortunate enough to have him at the premiere. Um, he was he was the one person I wanted to impress the most with
Really?
this show, and seeing him that happy, I mean, that's like, whether or not the show succeeded afterward was, fine, but I just the people that I really wanted to like the show, they all like the show, and I think that's what mattered most.
It's amazing. But yeah, let's jump right into the show then. Man. You said you had a little bit of help getting onto this. Did you also have to do any auditioning? Was there a certain role that you want for first, or was this the role that they asked you to go for?
Actually, I completely forgot about this until I was talking to Walker and my mom about this the other day. I went out for Percy
Okay.
originally. They sent me two auditions. They sent me one for Percy and one for Grover.
Okay.
And they didn't call me back for Percy. They didn't call me back for either for like a few months. And then eventually I got that call back for Grover and I started freaking out because, that meant they remembered who I was. There was like new sides and everything. And yeah, I went through a few rounds. I got to meet the producers and the showrunners and our, wonderful director of those first couple episodes, James. And yeah, I met Walker and Lee at the chemistry reads and, the rest is history.
How do you audition for somebody like Grover? Like, did you go back to watch like the movies, or like, did you want to try to put your own spin on this?
So I thought about this a lot. I talked to my parents about this. I didn't want to watch the movies, but I did go back and reread the books.
Okay.
I watched both movies, I think. I can't remember the last time I watched the second movie. It was in like fourth grade in class. But I rewatched the first movie, I don't know, like fairly recently before I knew that there was a show coming out. And I remember my mom walked into our hotel room because, it was in LA. And so we had to, kind of book a hotel. And she walked in with a brand new box set of Percy Jackson that's like over there on my bookshelf. And she was like, "You're reading these right now." And I blitzed through them in a night, and those definitely helped a lot. I My audition would have been a lot different if I hadn't read those.
Mm. What was the description you were given for Grover?
Oh, like my breakdown?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great that's a great question. I think it was just like the standards. They really focused in the breakdown on he was empathetic, he's kind, he is Percy's best friend, he's his protector. Um, and then because the scenes I got were kind of in and out of Yancey, still very like in Yancey and like the
Mm.
scene right after out of Yancey. It was like, oh, he's helping his best friend get accustomed to this new world. He's his best friend, satyr, just stuff like that. But they really pointed out his kindness and his graciousness, and that's I think part of the reason why I leaned so much, wanted to lean so much into that side of him.
Mm. Is it fun playing a 24-year-old too?
Yeah, it's pretty fun playing a 24-year-old. I it was weird. This is something that we tried to kind of capture. He he ages half as fast, so he's like a 24-year-old stuck in the body of a a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So that was definitely interesting to try, and it was my first time playing a 24-year-old. So yeah, it was fun.
Mm. What do you think, like playing this character and everything, what do you think has been like the biggest challenge? I know I've read somewhere articles and everything about you about the goat walk and everything, but like for you, what was your biggest challenge with this character, you think?
Biggest challenge. I don't have a great temper, and Grover's very good about kind of, anytime he's the mediator. He kind of,
Yeah.
focuses this quest and these two kids. And so if it was me, I would have kind of snapped at Percy and Annabeth way sooner. Um, but especially for the Ferdinand scene, speaking of, it was really hard not to just kind of really get pissed at them, but to remember the reason he's saying this is not out of a place of, anger or rage or spite or anything. It's just to get them to stop because more important things need to be done.
How about the goat walk? How long did it take you to make that the way you like perfect, like the way everybody wanted to see it?
Yeah, it didn't really like fully click until I think we got to film that Minotaur sequence. I didn't really get a
Mm.
hang of it because, we practiced it a bunch and then we went to Yancey where I'm not doing it as strongly, I guess, because Grover's kind of trying to hide his walk. And then for the Minotaur scene, that's when I kind of got to do it. And we worked with Rod and he was there and he would like every day I would go up to him. He's the guy who taught me how to walk like a goat. And I would be like, "How was it? Was today good? Was like, did I get it right?" And he'd kind of give me a rundown of his notes. And eventually, like I got it.
Did you find yourself doing the goat walk on a normal day after
Yeah,
doing it
I
for so long?
like it's genuinely it's an issue. Like I can't stop to even during the press tour, the more I talked about doing it, the more I would do it like between interviews too, just like walking from place to place. And Walker brought it up. He's like, "You still kind of walk like Grover. Like you have a very like forward, it's like you're falling with each step." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm well aware." And so I have to consciously put my heel down to the ground now.
What do you love about this character?
Oh, everything. I so much. Um, when I was a kid, I loved Grover so much that I convinced myself that I could talk to animals. And so I would try and like talk to, whatever pigeons were out there. And it ended in me getting attacked by a pigeon. And I think it stole my lunch too. Um, it was kind enough to leave me with a bag of goldfish, but I mean everything. He's so like kind and empathetic and I mean things I've said a million times before. He is I don't know, such a big influence on me. And so because of him, I tried to be kind and, kind of forgiving of other people. The same way he is. I'm nowhere near as forgiving as other people as he is, but I try.
Yeah. I know I don't want to talk too much about spoilers and everything, but like, how would you describe now like Grover's journey throughout each episode through the season?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that he just has something to prove. After Thalia,
Yeah.
after that, the Council of Cloven Elders is kind of breathing down his back. This is his last chance, and he's all the more closer to Percy and Annabeth because of that Thalia incident. I mean, these are his best friends, so I think if anything were to happen to him, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. So that's just something that we wanted to bring to the forefront is that, he's not just the mediator. He's not just there as like, you know, comedic relief. He's his own person. He has his own quest and he has things to prove. So that's something that we wanted to make kind of evident, I guess.
I was told to ask you, are we going to see Grover eating any of like his signature snacks like you hear about in the books and the movies, like
Yeah,
ping pong balls or tin cans,
yeah.
just to
Uh,
throw out a few things.
they made a fondant like the the prop guys, their room was in our classroom, and so we would just go in whenever we could, and they made like a fondant tin can, and I downed two of those things. They were really
Uh,
good. I don't think we got to use them on the show, probably out of fear that I would just be eating them all the time. Um, but yeah, he definitely, especially at Medusa's house, at dinner, um, he's having a lot of fun there.
you mentioned Medusa, Jessica Parker Kennedy. She's a former guest of the show too. She's amazing too.
Oh my God, she's brilliant. I'm a little upset that they didn't premiere like the first three or four episodes just so people could see like Jessica and Suzanne like right off the bat. But they're brilliant.
Have you done any lessons with the pan flute yet?
Not yet. That is, I was talking to Rick and I don't want to give too much away, but the pan flute does kind of make an appearance later on. Um, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that me and Walker pester Rick and Becky about.
Mm,
Um, no lessons yet, but very soon.
yeah. When I mentioned earlier, before we went on the air, I had Dior on the show. We talked about, the writers have already like started talking about season two and everything. Like what's your thoughts on all that? If we get a season two, what are you hoping for? You see Grover, like more of Grover. What are you hoping you get out of that?
Dude, I'm just excited to see Grover in a wedding dress. That's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to. I I don't know. I mean, aside from that, there's so much. I was talking to my producer about this, and that entire season is going to be so difficult to film because it's going to be hard to use a lot of the volume stage stuff that we already have built because
Yeah.
we're on the open water and there's this huge boat and these massive set pieces, especially for like I can't remember their name, but the twins in the Sea of Monsters, like those two big monsters and the Hydra fight, a lot of that stuff is going to be tricky to film. I'm just excited to see all of that come to
Mm-hmm.
life. I think I honestly enjoyed that book more than the light. I think that was one of my favorite books in the series, was the second one.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Walker and Annabelle. I watched some interviews with you guys. It looks like you guys made a strong bond between you three even before you started filming this.
Yeah, we did. I'm very for because when you're thinking about it, it's kind of weird to imagine that these are the people you're going to be stuck with for the next, I don't know,
Yeah.
5, 10 years.
Right.
An insane thought. And so, if you get people that you're not really close with, that's going to affect, not only you but the show. Um, but I'm very fortunate enough to have like the best cast. There's not one person that I could have asked to like a better person for.
Mhm. Have you guys like given each other any advice while you're filming this?
Um, it's less so about the advice and more so like we're always talking about what we could have done better. Like personally, we're not giving each other notes. We're not like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Walker, that was a rough day for you, wasn't it?" Um, but we're always talking about like, "Oh, we could have done this better, like this better." And just that constant improvement or just like even the will to improve is something that I've very few actors that I've worked with genuinely have. And so just getting to work with people who always want to be better, that makes you want to be better, which is kind of like the perfect thing for a show like this.
Percy has a huge fandom. like what I was mentioning earlier, it's huge everywhere. You go on like Facebook, Reddit, all these groups and everything. Like, what are you hoping for? They remember mostly about like your performance for this series.
What do I, or what is the fandom?
What are you hoping they remember the
Oh,
most about your performance?
um,
Because they love you out there. I know that they love you out there.
I'm very glad that the reception has been as positive as it has been. Because again, like you put so much time into something like this, and just knowing that people like kind of see you for it and that they acknowledge how much work you put into it, I think that's just incredible. There's really no other word for it. Um, I guess just I'm hoping people kind of realize, which I think they are, which is great, is that Grover's not just like the funny little sidekick
Yeah.
screaming goat kind of guy. Again, he has his own stuff to prove, and I'm really glad that the writers were kind of focusing on that throughout filming, which is great.
So now, how many episodes are we expecting this season fully? Did they say 8 or 10?
It's 8, yeah.
Okay, that's what I mean. So now, what's next for you now? Any other projects you want to tell us about real quick before we end this that you got coming
Um,
out, or
I got nothing, man. I'm just looking for friends. Just looking for people to hang out with, doing school. That's pretty much about it.
that's amazing. Aryan, let's end this by how can the listeners or the viewers now find you on social media to keep up with you for possible
Yeah,
season
just
2 or anything else?
yeah, just my full name, Aryan Simhadri. Follow me if you so choose. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all of my stuff is just my full name.
Amazing. Aryan, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today, and good luck with everything. Let's get you back on with season 2 or any other project you got going
Absolutely.
on.
Thank you so much for having me, man.